Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today. Where's my stream deck? It's over here, hiding away underneath my tablet. It is becoming increasingly not interested, but aware to me how much I'm now, like expanding my technology sort of repertoire. My workstation is become. Well, I'm not sure it's a workstation. My workstation, quote, is becoming like a full-on workstation. Like there's not enough room for things anymore. Like my entire desk is basically taken up with my technology. And what's even crazier is I bought a laptop today, which I guess we'll get onto in a second. But good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 8 p.m. on Wednesday, July 12, 2023. Excuse me, my throat is just like blah. But today's Prime Day, so prompted by a friend, I went to check out the Prime sales because I've been, to be fair, talking about this laptop for like I think about a year now, being like I should get one of the Microsoft Surface laptops because I want a laptop which is both functional as a laptop but also could be used for drawing, and the Microsoft Surface seems like the best sort of in between of that because while the iPad is certainly a lot better, I think. Well, okay, I shouldn't say a lot better, but there's functionalities of it, things like Procreate are fantastic for drawing. The fact that I need something which also can double as like a laptop with an actual operating system on it means that the Microsoft Surface is a winner for me. And, every single time it's gone on sale, I've been like, not this time. But this time, prompted by the Prime sale, I went to go check it out. And I was like, whoa, 30% discount. That's actually quite a big discount, That's that's a nice amount, Why don't I pick that up? And then, something in the back of my mind was like, you should also check out the Microsoft Surface store, just in case, there's like an actual different deal going on. And the crazy thing was, there was a different deal going on for them on the Microsoft Surface store as well, where they also had a very big discount. Where this time the i7 was discounted to be even cheaper than the i5, and I was like, whoa, okay, I don't think the performance difference is that crazy. That much of a difference between i7 and i5, but why not, I suppose, when you're already kind of splashing out. So yeah, I ended up buying one of the laptops. It will be coming next week, maybe on Monday or something, and I'm just sitting here being like, wow, look at all this technology I have at like my fingertips nowadays. And slowly and surely everything I've got is now getting an upgrade in some form or another. I still wish I need to find the weights. I need to find this box for this mouse. I have no idea where it is. I feel like I always try and find. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically my mouse. It's a G502, and I remember in the box it came with weights which you can put into the mouse to make heavier or whatever. And at the time I was like, why would I want that? I want like the lightest mouse possible. But nowadays I'm like, I want a mouse with a bit more weight to it. Now it's too light, but I don't know where I put that box, the initial mouse box, I suppose, with all the weights in it anymore. So I'm just sort of like, what do I do with it? Not what do I do with it, but what can I do? I need to find the box at some point. But I just genuinely don't really know where it is. But anyway, so yeah, and I'm becoming increasingly aware of how many things I'm sort of buying. But to be fair, I've also not really. But my last major purchase, I think, was my graphics tablet, and that was almost a year ago, from what I can remember. So apart from that, I haven't really had any major purchases. I guess I went on holiday. Does that count as a major purchase? Kind of. But yeah, what we can talk about today. I mean, obviously, we've already spoken about something for 3 minutes, but that's not really what I'm going to talk about in my monologue. Oxenfree 2, whoa, review, Fred. How are people? 75%, so it's fine, it seems. Positive reception to Oxenfree 2? Okay, cool. You know what? Wait, how is the review average 75%, but most of these reviews are like 9s? Oh, it's open. It's a review aggregator. I see. I don't know if that's good or bad necessarily, I suppose, for an aggregator, but Oxenfree is pretty cool. If you haven't played Oxenfree, I don't really know how to describe it, I suppose, except for like not an otherworldly experience, but it's like a story-based game, on an island, and it's full of mystery, I suppose. Yeah, mystery-based story-based game, is that probably a fair way to describe Oxenfree? I don't know. Splash Page could probably do a better job of describing it, but I thought it was a very cool game, and it has, I don't know if I talked about this before, one of my favourite conversation systems, excuse me, that I've ever seen in a game, where basically the characters talk like live to one another, and then you can answer live as your main character. to them, and what that includes is you can actually interrupt them, like, well, what they're saying. So they might, say an interesting tidbit, being like, oh, this place is like something, I think it was made in Victorian era, and there was this, and it was owned by like this lord or duke or something back in the day, but he eventually got it taken away from him when he got shut down because of all the bad crimes he was doing. And then your character might get like a text bubble being like, bad crimes, what are you talking about? Or they might crack a joke or something. But since it's something done live, you can choose just like not to respond, and then the conversation will fade away, and then your friend will just carry on speaking. But if you do respond with one of the text boxes, your character will interrupt them, being like, wait, can you tell, what are you talking about? Like, oh, I've never heard that story. And then they'll stop what they're saying, and being like, oh, well, you haven't heard about it, and then they'll go into like a branching path. It's sort of like instead of a turn-based conversation system, it's like a real-time conversation system. It's like it's what RTSs are to turn-based strategy games are. Then for like turn-based dialogue is what Oxenfree is to turn-based dialogue. It's like such a small thing, but it's really cool. Because when characters, sometimes they lose their trail of thought because of like an interjection you said, they also, do things like anyway, or like, as I was saying, or, like, it sounds, I'm not going to say it sounds completely natural. Let's not go that far, because obviously they are still, they're still like, the pauses and the breaks are still a bit strangely laid out from each other. But it is certainly one of the best adaptations, I think, to a natural conversation system I've seen in a game. And it's great. I would love to see more. I don't know if it necessarily fits every game, obviously, but for a games where dialogue fits that, it's great. It's fantastic. What can I say? Oh my god, my throat. But yeah, Oxenfree is very cool in that regard. Another thing I thought about Oxenfree was the fact there's Walkie Talkies in it, and I haven't thought about Walkie Talkies for like years. Have I ever done a thing about Walkie Talkies? Because I actually do strangely have an anecdote about them. Not the greatest one in the world, mind you, but I have like 550. Oh yeah, also I've had like an influx of people subscribing or something. I don't know why, but the episode called Shutdown has like 350 views. It's the Animal Crossing one. Why? I genuinely have no idea. Apparently I never talked about Walkie Talkies. Let's talk about them. It's just like it's a rare situation where now when I go on YouTube and I go to watch videos or something, the notification bell actually has notifications, and it's just like, oh, not five people, but like someone new has subscribed, and I was like, what? That's wild. Anyway, when's the last time I actually responded to comments? Did I do it last weekend? I probably didn't. 10 days ago. Okay, so I didn't do it last weekend. So I guess my replying to conversations is very much transformed into a fortnightly thing, and I don't mean the game. But yeah, like Walkie Talkies. Like I remember when I was very young, back in primary school era, like early primary school as well, because this was when my best friend at the time was someone different. It was this person who I'm obviously not going to say his name or anything because I'm not going to like give out his details. I've never spoken to him since primary school. Like I think I've spoken to him once, like in year 8 or something, so probably like 2 years after graduating primary school, but never seen him since either. Hope he's doing fine. But I remember that for his Christmas present, birthday or Christmas present, I can't remember, he got Walkie Talkies as like one of the gifts, and I remember he gave me one of the Walkie Talkies so we could communicate with each other, like from each other's houses. We weren't too far away from each other. I would guess we were probably about 1 kilometer away from each other, house-wise. I could have walked to his house and it wouldn't take too long, from what I recall. Probably about the same time as me walking to school, which I'm going to guess was probably about 10 minutes or something. Yeah, I remember he gave me one of the walkie-talkies to take back to my house, and then we would like talk to each other over walkie-talkies like you would talk over the phone nowadays. Because it sounds strange, but back then I didn't really know how to operate a phone. It was sort of like I theoretically knew how to operate a phone, but I didn't know how to call someone on the phone. And I remember the first time I had to call someone on the phone was actually calling that same friend, because he told me about the fact he was going trick-or-treating later that day. Because I guess we were in school during Halloween time, which is weird to say because that usually never happens in UK term times, but for whatever reason we were in school on Halloween that day, and I remember he was saying like he was going trick-or-treating that night, and then I should come with him, go trick-or-treating. And I was like, whoa, that sounds like fun. I've never been trick-or-treating before. And I remember having to call his house and then speak to his mum, being like, is it okay if I go, can I come trick-or-treating, that sort of thing, and I cleared it with my parents or something, or I can't remember, something like that. And then she was like, obviously very nice, she knew me pretty well, she was like, oh yeah, of course dear darling, come along, you can do trick-or-treating. Anyway, I think I must have spoken about that on one of my previous Halloween episodes if you want to hear that story. But yeah, we had those walkie-talkies in our house. I also remember that we came up with some very over-engineered system, I suppose, to figure out what channel we're on. I remember the walkie-talkie. It was like a mildly H-shaped figured walkie-talkie. It was like pretty bright yellow with like black accents, I suppose. I don't really know how else to describe it. And it had like a very sort of silicon feel around it. I'm like, I wonder if I Google it, I could actually find it. That would actually be insane. So it's like a very generic looking walkie-talkie. Yes, we are meant to sell for you, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't know what I was going to say about this. It's kind of like our alternative, I suppose, to talking on the phone, was just talking to each other walkie-talkies. Like, I don't remember exactly what we spoke about because, we were like 6, 7-ish or something, so who really knows. We probably just talked about nothing. I was probably like, oh, I'm playing a game on my Game Boy, and you might be like, hey, 6 or 7, isn't that around the kind of the time that the DS should have been invented and like given out? Yeah, I didn't have a DS when it first came out, though. I don't know why I'm taking such an aggressive tone. I only had a Game Boy for a while. But anyway, I was like, oh, I'm playing this game on Game Boy, and he's like, oh, I'm like watching TV or something. Like, you can imagine how 6-year-old conversations kind of go. It's more for the novelty of the fact we can talk to each other and communicate like this. And I remember, we used to speak on walkie-talkie, being like, oh, we need to make sure that no one is like spying on us and listening on our channel, so we're going to come up with a system where it was like, on this day we'll speak on this channel, this day we'll speak on this channel, etc, etc. And then that obviously did not work out because we always forgot, and then sometimes we'd be tuned into the wrong channel and no one would be there. I don't know, that's all I really remember about it. And I was just like, that was a pretty cool time, to be honest. At the time I was like, this is a cool novelty, but looking back on it, I'm like, that was a nice experience to have. I'm thankful that my friend like lent me that walkie-talkie. I don't even know that did I give it back? Do I still have it at some point or something? I don't know. Probably when we moved house, I must have given it back because we'd have been like in a different. I moved to a different town or something. I genuinely don't remember. Maybe I still own it somewhere. If I put new batteries in, I'd hear a and be like, "Whoa, dear darling, is that you?" Well, you wouldn't call me that probably, but still. It'd be certainly a very interesting experience. But yeah, like, I actually have another walkie-talkie anecdote because I also got walkie-talkies as a present, maybe when I was much younger, maybe like 4 or something, as like a Christmas present. Or actually, what it probably was, it was probably a birthday present, because I remember one year when I was, I think, turning 3 or 4 or something, I was in reception, so yeah, that probably would have been me turning 4. I had a big birthday party. I invited like everyone from my class and like family friends as well. It was like the biggest birthday party I probably had. And we went to this place called it was called Action Kids, which is basically like this big old activity centre in the UK. It must be closed down now. I don't imagine they're still open. Action Kids, Action for Children. No, it's not a charity. Action Kids Activity Centre? Kids in Action? Okay, it's basically, like those big old inflatable sort of like play pens with like ball pits and slides and that sort of thing, and like netting and things to like climb out. That's basically what it was, and we like rented that out for maybe not a day, maybe for like a few hours or something, and I had my birthday party there. And I just remember vaguely like laying out all the birthday presents I got from that. It was huge. Like I remember sitting in my living room and it like took up the entire carpet we had, and we had like a big old like Persian rug or something in our sitting room, and it was just like a huge amount of like presents. I was like, wow, this is amazing. But the other thing I do remember was after opening all of them being like, oh, I don't really care about most of these presents, to be honest. Not in a very literal sense, you know, like children can be quite harsh. It's not that I don't care about the sentimental value. It's more like, oh, you know, like, oh, thank you for my friends for getting me something. But of course, all the presents are very sort of random presents, you know, they're like, you know, Argos toys, etc., things that you play for like for a little while as a kid, and then you abandoned because, you know, certainly me as a child, I just ended up playing with soft cuddly toys or plushies basically all the time anyway. But I remember one of them, I don't know if it was actually from his birthday. It might have been from Christmas. I might be getting my wires crossed, but I got walkie talkies from somewhere. Actually, I think it was from a family, a relative or something. But I remember we got the walkie-talkies, and I remember trying to use them with my family or something. And the thing with those walkie-talkies is they straight up, like, did not work. Well, kind of. They communicated with each other. Like, they made beeping noises at each other, but you could not speak with them. Like, you could not understand anything anyone was saying on the other side. So, I mean, to be fair, they were probably, like, cheap walkie-talkies, maybe, like, £10 or something from Argos or whatever. And maybe that's even being a bit ambitious. So it's not like I'm expected really all that much coming for it, but it's just like, I remember, you know, playing maybe with a friend, maybe with my family, I can't remember, about it, like pretending to do walkie-talkie, you know, speaking to him like, this is like, you know, dear Darlington, like dad or something, do you hear me, over? And then obviously my dad can't hear anything through a walkie-talkie because it just sounds like, so I don't know, we just like pretended to talk to each other through that. Good times though, good times. Oh, I remember another thing as well. It's the most random thing. I guess it's kind of vaguely linked up to walkie-talkies, but I don't know if it's still possible, but like at least back in the day, like the landline phones we had, you know, which actually connected to the landline, what you could do is you could pick up one phone and pick up another phone in the same house, and you could communicate with each other through it. I don't know if a call had to be ongoing or not, but basically what happened one time when I was very young, like 3 or something, the phone started ringing, and of course, me being a child, learning from the adults, I picked up the phone because I was like, you know, phone's ringing, they pick it up, I'll be like, hello, and I'll speak to them. Unbeknownst to me, is my mother also was in the kitchen or whatever, and she also picked up the phone at the same time, and it was a family friend, and she was having a conversation, and I clearly did not understand what was going on. I did not know it was my mother on the phone as well as a family friend, and I just like started speaking like it was a normal conversation. You know, I feel like I mimicked basically what I saw my parents are doing, like, hello, yeah, oh really, so stuff like that, you know, just like general conversation fillers. Because I remember my mum, you know, just being like, at one point being like, hang on, I think my child's on my phone, and she's just like walking around being like, what's going on? And we're like, dear darling, can you put down that phone as well? She's like trying to have a conversation, and I was like, okay. I just remember it, and it was very, very funny to me. So anyway, you could use old landline phones as a walkie-talkie. Maybe I might be misremembering that. You know, if you're older than me and you were like actually around the time when landline phones were used all the time, because they sort of stopped being used by the time I started needing to make phone calls. Mobile phones is basically kind of like what one's dominant nowadays, doesn't it? So whether that's good or bad, I suppose that's up to you. But yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say. That's it. Walkie-talkies. What a fun invention they are. And you know, they're definitely the sort of toy I think you could give to kids, and they would be endlessly entertained for a really long time, because there's always such a fun novelty, like pretending you're like on the phone, or pretending you're being a secret spy, or maybe like you're playing army or something, and just like talking on a walkie-talkie to someone else, even if you're saying the most inane stuff possible. So yeah, I don't know. If you have been watching, I'll round this episode off here. If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong, mate. Bye-bye for now. Over. Get it? Like walkie-talkie? Yeah? Okay, I guess it doesn't really work if I speak after it, but okay, whatever.